And that
The
wraps
pure
up every
evil villain.
animation explained.
This
From
type
the
of
most
villain
iconic
exists only
masterminds
to
the
cause
underrated
harm
chaos
with no
makers.
regret
We've
or
broken
inner
down
conflict.
what makes these animated
They are
villains
often
so
driven by cruelty
unforgettable.
or a
Their
desire for
motives,
destruction,
their flaws,
and they rarely
and the
change.
moments that made them
A
legendary.
clear
If
example
you enjoyed
is
this deep
Maleficent
dive,
from
don't
Sleeping
forget to
Beauty,
like,
who curses
subscribe,
a
and
child
turn on
simply out of
notifications
spite.
so you never miss the
Another
next
strong
breakdown,
example
and
is
let me know
Scar
in
from
the
The Lion
comments.
King,
Which
whose
villain
actions
should I
are
explain
fueled by
next?
jealousy
Thanks for
and a
watching.
willingness
And
to
remember,
destroy
every
his
great
own
story
family
needs
for
an
power.
even greater villain.
A pure
See you in the
evil
next
villain
video.
is a character who has no moral conflict, feels no guilt or remorse, chooses evil willingly and knowingly. They are the embodiment of evil, not a victim of circumstances. They are not misunderstood or tragic. The audience is not meant to feel sorry for them. Example: Scar kills his brother purely for power. The sympathetic villain. This villain has a backstory that explains their behavior, often rooted in pain or loss. While their actions are harmful, the audience can understand where they are coming from. Mr. Freeze from Batman, the animated series, is driven by love for his wife, making his crimes feel tragic. Another example is Ernesto de la Cruz from Coco, whose ambition hides deeper emotional motivations tied to legacy and recognition. A sympathetic villain is a character who commits harmful or wrong actions, but has understandable motives, emotions, or backstory. The audience may feel sorry for them, even if they don't agree with their actions. The power-hungry villain. This character is obsessed with control, authority, or ruling over others. Their actions are calculated and often ruthless. Jafar from Aladdin is a classic example, constantly seeking the throne through manipulation and magic. Similarly, Lord Shen from Kung Fu Panda 2 is driven by fear of losing power, which pushes him toward destructive decisions. The trickster villain. This villain relies on cleverness, deception, and manipulation rather than strength. They often appear charming or playful, which makes their actions more unsettling. Hades from Hercules uses wit and sarcasm to disguise his schemes. Another example is Rumpelstiltskin from Shrek Forever After, who tricks others into making deals that benefit him. The fallen hero. This villain was once good but changed over time due to fear, anger, or loss. Their story often shows a gradual transformation. Anakin Skywalker, especially as Porchar Wars, The Clone Wars, becomes Darth Vader after losing his way. In animation, Tai Lung from Kung Fu Panda is another example. Once a hopeful student who turns against everything he believed in. The misunderstood villain. This character is seen as evil but is not truly malicious. Their intentions are often misread, or they are treated unfairly. Wreck-It Ralph from Wreck-It Ralph is labeled a villain simply because of his role in a game. Another example is the
Beast from Beauty and the Beast, who appears frightening but has a deeper, kinder nature. The comic villain. This villain adds humor to the story, often through exaggerated behavior or repeated failure. While they may still oppose the hero, they are not always taken seriously. Yzma from The Emperor's New Groove is dramatic and entertaining, often failing in absurd ways. Another example is Vector from Despicable Me, whose overconfidence leads to comedic moments. The monster villain. This villain is defined more by their physical presence than personality. They often represent fear, danger, or chaos. Takeoff from Mona is a powerful force of destruction rather than a traditional character. Another example is the Kraken, which represents unstoppable, natural terror. The corporate or system villain. This type represents a larger system rather than one individual. It reflects modern concerns about power structures and control. Mr. Waternoose from Monsters, Inc. prioritizes the system over ethics. Another example is the company by Enlarge in WALL, representing environmental neglect and corporate dominance. The rival villain. This character opposes the hero but is not entirely evil. They often share similar goals but compete in different ways. Gaston from Beauty and the Beast sees himself as the rightful winner. Another example is Prince Hans from Frozen, who initially appears as a rival before revealing deeper motives. The manipulator villain. This villain works behind the scenes, influencing others to carry out their plans. Their power comes from control over people rather than direct action. Mother Gothel from Tangled controls Rapunzel through emotional manipulation. Another example is Lotso from Toy Story 3, who maintains power through fear and control. The redeemable villain. This character begins as an antagonist but changes over time. Their story focuses on growth and the possibility of redemption. Zuko from Avatar, The Last Airbender, is a strong example, evolving from enemy to ally. Another example is Megamind from Megamind, who eventually redefines what it means to be a hero.